Good morning, wrestling fans. Welcome to PWR today for February 11th, 2021. I'm the man they call Meathead. And it's Thursday morning. It's still absolutely freezing up here, but there is light at the end of the tunnel, regardless of what that silly little stupid groundhog said. It's in the positive digits. Matthew Thomas joining us from Denver, Colorado. Matthew, how's it going?
Good morning. How many days are in February this year?
It's 28. It's 2021. So, I mean, it's the same as the election years is the leap year.
Oh, that's right. Last year was a leap year.
Yeah, because it's election year. Same as what used to be the Summer Olympics.
Is that correlated to the groundhog in its shadow?
No.
Is the groundhog correlated to the Olympics?
No.
Then I still don't understand.
It's correlated to Bill Murray. That's really all you need to know.
Interesting.
Just like every Christmas, I say Merry Christmas to everybody and show a picture of Bill Murray, wearing a wreath around him with nothing else because it's funny.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now that it all comes together now.
And he's a man that doesn't use manscaped.com. So if you want to not look like Bill Murray, head on over to manscaped.com. Get yourself 20% off using promo code PWR. Get yourself silky smooth, fizzy babala, I think is what they drink in that movie as well. Like our man Dave Hero says. Manscaped.com, 20% off with the promo code PWR. And then our friends at collarandelbowbrand.com. I love, again, the Good Brother shirts that were on AEW again last night. Head on over to collarandelbowbrand.com. Use the promo code PWR360 to save yourself 10%. I've been wearing my hoodie all year. I mean, literally, it's my go-to. I have the T-shirts that I wear when I do other stuff, if I'm running or whatever. But the hoodie, my collar and elbow mirror hoodie, so love it. Charcoal. Getting a ton of wear out of it. Matthew,
I do have a request. If you can roll this up to Al when you get a chance. The next shirt from Collar and Elbow I want to see is Forbidden Door with the door in the Doors logo.
Oh, doom, 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 doom. Jim Morrison sounded like an incoherent Elvis, and that's funny because Elvis half of the time was incoherent. She's 1 line, 90 miles a day, try to run.
So is that's Elvis covering the Doors song? I like it.
Kind of. You'll find if you hang around with me long enough that while I tell you I don't listen to Elvis at all, I can do Elvis impersonations of what he would sing today. That was my one comedy bit. Frank Cosentino, the Cos, if you are listening to this program, tell everyone, post on the thread here, tell everyone about my theory about Elvis. If Elvis were alive today, he'd be doing just covers. He wouldn't write his own material or have anybody write material for him. He'd just be covering stuff. You ever hear Elvis do, like, Oops, I Did It Again? He'd do it nice and slow like this. Oops, I did it again. I'll play with your heart. Or what if he did
fantastic. This is great content.
What if he did it, what if he did Metallica? Exit light into night, kind of Vegas-y, you know what I'm saying?
Well, the thing of it is, I think, he would certainly have covered Who Let the Dogs Out.
Who let the dogs out? Huh, 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 huh. Right? I mean, yeah.
That's exactly it. That's exactly, there was an infomercial probably about 20, 25 years ago that was just that. It was an Elvis impersonator covering songs that, basically were past Elvis's lifetime. I think there's a huge market for it. And I think that market has, largely been forgotten about in the last couple of decades. And I think this might be your doorway in, if you will.
You see what you did there. Frank Cosentino, again, the Cos, PWR Hall of Famer. We need you to hear this. We need you to tell everybody this. This is PWR like legacy stories. I wish Frank would have been on for the final. I wish you would have been on too, there, Matthew.
I wish I would have been. He could very well have been, for all I know.
But this is the story. There was a stretch of Pro Wrestling Report history where we taped out of the Kenosha, Wisconsin building. And most of us lived in Milwaukee, which was 45 minutes away. So what we would all do is it'd all be a huge road trip down to Kenosha, weekly to knock out the show. And we'd all meet at my house, which was the farthest south and right by the freeway. Chris Morris, Frank, sometimes, somebody else, depending on who was going to the show at the time. and myself, we'd all drive down there, and it was pretty much open mic night in the car while Chris or Frank or whoever drove. I mean, I drove a few times, so um, that's where I came up with the theory that Elvis, if he were alive today, would still be covering other people's songs. So
yeah, I think that's very, very reasonable. And one thing, living that close to the freeway there, you probably had some rest areas close by, didn't you?
Well, no, I mean, I live by the freeway in the city. So,
okay. Yeah. I was going to say, like, if you were, convenient living close to rest areas, because you can just always got somewhere to pull off and go to the restroom, and you can get in and out of a rest area a lot quicker than you can going off an exit and stopping in a gas station, go into a gas station bathroom. Like,
having to buy a pack of gum. I mean,
yeah, you discount the amount of time that you lose actually going into places of business off of an interstate to use the restroom. So, granted, though, in any of your travels, be careful when you're in the state of Georgia. Georgia, actually, at least the last time I traveled through, had a very low per capita rest area population compared to just about every state that I've been through. And you got to time your stuff right when that's the situation.
That's funny. I got one other story. I got to say this now, Frank. I hope that you're going to chime in on this. This was at a point way back in PWR days where I actually wasn't driving. Didn't have a license. I just, I got around by foot, right? Okay. But, I had to go tape the show in Kenosha, so they'd come and pick me up. It's a dead of winter, just about as cold as it is right now. We're driving back from K-Town, Kenosha, and heading towards Milwaukee. All of a sudden, oh, man. Dude, did you get a flat tire? The two guys in the front, Chris and Frank, are both licensed drivers. I'm sitting in the back, and I don't have a license. And we pull off right before we start to hit the Milwaukee County, the southern limits of Milwaukee County. They look at each other and go, "Do you know how to change a tire?" "I don't know how to change a tire." I'm like, "Are you serious? I'm in the back here without a license, and I'm the only guy who knows how to change a tire." Ugh. Pull over to the side. Get your stuff out. So we get out, and honestly, it's like 10 degrees below zero. And I don't wear gloves. I barely wear a winter jacket. Yeah. So I start getting out there. Squad pulls up, Milwaukee County Sheriff pulls up behind us. "You guys going to be okay?" "Yeah, we got a flat. We just got to, change it." "Well, I'll tell you what. I'm going to sit behind you. I'm going to put the lights on. I got the heat running. If you guys get too cold, jump in the car, go back out there, do whatever you got to do. If you need me, let me know. I'll just kind of be hanging out." Took us 15 minutes, but I think I'm just getting over the frostbite now. So it was just kind of ironic that, the one guy without the license knew how to change a flat tire.
Absolutely. And what a nice, courteous police officer, too, to hang there with you and give you a place to warm up if you needed to.
Yeah, I mean, we could have started our car, too, but obviously we weren't going to go in the car if it was on the jack. So, well,
my goodness.
Hey, welcome to Non-Wrestling Talk. That segment's over now. Let's talk a little wrestling, huh?
Man, I think we've touched a lot of bases already. We've touched Elvis. We've touched flat tires. We've touched rest areas. And we've touched.
I'm worried about rest areas, Matthew. I know you said you like to visit them, but ever since there's something about Mary, I've got a funny thing about rest areas, where it's a bastion for other things that happen.
A gentleman offered to. I was at a rest area just across the North Carolina-South Carolina border, and I did get an offer to take a trip with the gentleman to Florida, which I politely turned down, but. Yeah, I mean, I potentially missed out on a trip to Disney World and Universal. And
well, I'm pretty sure that's not what it was. I'm pretty sure you missed out on being in the car with a guy, who was complaining about 7-minute abs, and he was going to make 6-minute abs.
You know what? That's a pretty good idea.
Because you get an extra minute in a day. And then Ben Stiller goes, "Well, what about 5-minute abs?" So, you can't even get your heart rate up, man. He's talking about Gorgonzola when it's definitely breed time, baby. Good God. Something about Mary. If you haven't seen it in a while, go check that out. Let's talk wrestling, all right? And let's talk disturbed individuals. This was not meant to be a segue. It just happens to be. The reason Alexa Bliss was not on TV on Monday night, she is dealing with a stalker, and the police are involved. This is not like the situation that we had over the summer with Sonya Deville, but this one's a little different. We mentioned this either yesterday morning or morning before, but I think the safest place for her to be right now should be in Orlando, and it should be, bring Ryan in, her boyfriend, and bring him into Tropicana Field. I mean, we're talking, 100 to 200 very well fit individuals that are there to help protect you.
Absolutely. Just this overall scary situation. And one of the, not that you did not have creeps and people like this prior to the days of the internet, but one of the downsides of everybody being as available as they are and as connected as they are. And you see a situation like this where it just rears its ugly head. And that's the thing that, is concerning about this and a lot of aspects of culture in general is you're putting, people like this guy, I assume it's a guy, this stalker, within not technically an arm's reach, but you have that level of communication where, 25 years ago, somebody like this, would not have been able to have a direct line of communication like this to somebody in that.
Well, that's the thing too. It's
level.
not just a direct line of communication. So I think you're right and you're wrong at the same time. Yes, 25 years ago, they wouldn't have had a direct line of communication, but 25 years ago, security wouldn't have been the same, and they could have been a lot closer than they are now.
Yeah, that's a very valid point.
We wish the best for Alexa. I hope that this is not legitimate. I hope it's just somebody's sick joke and they think it's a prank and it ends soon because it's not funny. Yeah. And we had this news yesterday, but honestly, with all the Forbidden Door stuff yesterday, I didn't think it was appropriate to bring up at the time. I wanted to get this out there. I wanted to talk about it, but we're glad that Alexa's still okay and hopefully everything works out and, for the best for her.
Absolutely.
Let's talk AEW Dynamite last night. Matthew, you said you watched, yes?
Yes, I did.
Let's go over the show. The show started off with the TNT champion Darby Allin defending against the bad boy Joey Janela. I thought Darby Allin looked good, and I thought Joey actually looked good too. They have this habit of not only kicking off the show live with just a big hot match to open it up, but they have this habit of having long matches and guys that don't necessarily get the prominent TV time going over and looking real good in the process.
Yeah, no, and I think the show really was bookended with that tonight. And we'll talk about that a little bit later in the main event. But they do not very often go to the WWE cold open with the promo. I mean, that seems to have been the WWE's mantra throughout the last several decades, and AEW more often than not, they come out the gate, strong with a match. And tonight was, or last night was no exception.
8-man tag match.
Yeah, which I could do without. I think they could scale that back a little bit, but give me a good singles match to open up the show, and we had one last night.
The Forbidden Door. The Forbidden Door. I didn't pay any attention to it, but Excalibur said it last week Wednesday.
Oh, did he?
Kent has kicked open the Forbidden Door. Uh-oh, the Forbidden Door.
Yeah, I don't think it has the same, I don't think it's going to grab your attention the same way it does
as Tony did
when Tony Khan said it. Yep.
Impact. Holy smokes.
Because here's the thing, when he's talking about it, it's a forbidden door. When Tony Khan's talking about it,
he said it was his.
It's his forbidden door. They have two different connotations there.
You've opened up my Matthew. We already know the path we're going here. I don't want to do this today. I do want to talk about the promo that Moxley had outside as he was talking to Kenta. Again, going back old school in PWR history, Pro Wrestling Report history, I, for the longest time, thought the title was called the IWGB belt. And then I asked Damian Nelson with a straight face, I'm like, IWGB, I want to get banged? IWGP, United States Champion. IWGP. Even young Meathead still, just apparently isn't listening. What did you think IWGP stood for?
International, worldwide, generational jumping jacks.
Boy, that's a lot of terminology for 4 letters.
Yeah, that's what I always assumed.
How about the International Wrestling Grand Prix?
Oh, like the car?
IWGP is the acronym for New Japan Pro Wrestling's governing body, the International Wrestling Grand Prix.
Are they sponsored by Pontiac?
No. Actually, DeLorean, I think, is still their sponsor.
Ah. So that was an interesting dude. I never finished it, but I got about halfway through a documentary on John DeLorean. Quite an interesting story there that I never realized.
Yeah. He was outside the box. Would be the easiest way to put it.
You have to be a car visionary. There's actually, I haven't started it yet, but there is an
the
3-wheel
one on HBO you're talking about, right?
The HBO Max, The Lady in the Dale, I think is the name of it. Yeah.
Let's talk wrestling again. Let's talk about MJF stirring the pot. They have a backstage segment, kicks everybody out, says, even you, Wardlow, cameraman, you stay here. MJF is trying to get Sammy to think that it's Jericho and get Sammy to think that he's jealous of MJF because he wants to be next to Jericho. And then he reaches for his phone. That was a setup. I don't think he actually recorded anything. That was a setup to get Sammy to think it, then throw his phone against the wall, give him a shot in the ribs. Sammy says he's done, man. That's it.
It's looking like we might be going Sammy MJF sooner than we thought, which I don't necessarily mind. I think that in a lot of ways, MJF's role is Sammy's role in the inner circle. And if this kind of breaks off a little bit,
like the right-hand man to Jericho?
Yeah, and gives us a one-on-one feud again. That's something that we've been talking about. There's so many stables in AEW, and you're lacking a lot of your one-on-one feuds. Well, and I think that it's and I think that this potentially might, give us another story to sink our teeth in. Sink our teeth in.
Yeah, he left through the quote-unquote face tunnel. Did you see that?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Normally those guys come out on a TV screen left, stage right, but he went off on TV screen right, stage left.
So that's not the forbidden tunnel, right?
No, Tony will tell you about his forbidden tunnel. Again, I don't want to. I just don't. That's not my path. The interview with the Young Bucks aired where they were asked about the Battle Royal, and the Good Brothers showed up. He goes, yeah, dummies, if we would have won it, we would have took you, and you could have wrestled us at Revolution. But it was weird because it was either Nick or Matt. I don't remember who said it, but hey, do you mind? We'll do the Too Sweet off camera. I don't want people to see this. Are they embarrassed of the Good Brothers?
Yeah, it's interesting. It's it's kind of wild.
What did you think about Ryan Nemeth taking on the Bastard Pac?
I did not think it was going to be quite as much of a squash match as it was, but Pac looked really strong. And the thing with Nemeth is they've got somebody that, this is the second week, I believe, in a row that we've seen him. People know who he is, and people are interested in him. And so even if you want to use him primarily to elevate other talent on your main show, I think it still means something. And that's kind of what we've seen with Janela a lot. He's not somebody who's always used his enhancement of talent. It seems like 70% of the time, he's probably going to lose a match, but there's
except if it's on Dark, because 70% of AEW's matches are on Dark.
Yeah. Now there's a lot of stuff. I mean, just watch the ticker at the bottom of the screen, man. There's a lot of, a lot of matches on Dark there. So if you don't have enough wrestling in your week as it is, I mean, that's where the bulk of these wins and losses are coming from.
Mm-hmm. Hey, let's talk Demo God, Chris Jericho, and MJF versus the acclaimed Max Caster and Anthony Bowens. Is it just me, or is Max Caster like a very tall Russell Wilson?
Yeah, I can see that.
Russell Wilson with an open mic.
Mm-hmm.
Yo, my voice is kind of like Eminem. He's not bad. I don't mind him at all.
They've got what they do down very well.
Yeah. I enjoy them. I don't need a rap out of them every week, but it's not bad. It's not bad at all. Now, of course, you were going to get the win with, the Inner Circle. But again, we just talked about it. Sammy Guevara out of the Inner Circle left and left out the face tunnel, not the forbidden door. Matthew, knock it off. Marvez catches up with him outside, and he said, I'm over this. I need time to just be away for a little bit. I wonder if that means Sammy's quote-unquote injured. Hardy and Hangman at the bar celebrating the win from last week. Hardy gets Hangman to sign something. He says, you'll make millions. I only asked for 30%. Did Hangman and Page actually sign on with big money Matt Hardy?
I think he took a doctored contract out of his pocket, didn't he? Didn't he do something with the actual document?
Yeah. I honestly think that, I mean, I was thinking it the whole time. Hangman signed off, hey, kiss my grits or something like that. Mm-hmm. And that's a foreshadowing to something else tonight. But I think he wrote kiss my grits instead of Hangman Adam Page on it. So we'll have to see.
Yeah. And keep an eye on this too. I just want to add, Page is the one that everybody's trying to fawn over his friendship and this, that, and the other. Yeah. There's not a lot of big.
It was kind of weird. The Dark Order looks a little weird. Oh, we're not going to hang out. Oh, okay. Stupid. Yeah. Stupid.
It's right under the radar. It's not, hitting you in the head with it every week. But when the dust settles on this Kenny Omega interpromotional deal, and there is somebody who's ultimately going to dethrone Kenny Omega, that's who it is. Adam Page has the potential to be the top star in that company by a long shot. He has the potential to be that big star, and that person that AEW can really attach themselves to as quote unquote homegrown talent. So I think that's kind of on the back burner. It's kind of a slow burn right now. But whenever you are
happening in this season of the PWR draft, that's for sure.
Right. No. But whenever you're done with that interpromotional stuff and you're looking for somebody, and it's going to be once you get adequate sized crowds back, when they paused right after they stopped being live, Paige was close to, if not the most over person in that company. I think if they play their cards right, once they resume, you are going to have a superstar on your hands.
I think so. The AEW Women's World Championship Eliminator Tournament kicked off tonight. Legit Layla Hirsch taking on Thunder Rosa. I think I'm pulling for Thunder Rosa. I actually enjoy her. She obviously is moving on to the second round, but the brackets are weird because it's in New Japan Pro Wrestling on one side and then USA on the other side, which includes Thunder Rosa, who I believe is a Latino wrestler, but that part doesn't matter to me. It's people based in the U.S. versus people based in New Japan Pro Wrestling. So your thoughts on this Women's Eliminator Tournament?
Yeah, I am too. Hopefully it's made for her. I like her style in the ring. I like the facial expression. She tells a good story in her matches. You are invested. And there's a very unique look there. You do not see many women in the women's division, with the face paint style that she's got. It's a very unique package there. And I would hope
the only thing I can think of is Rosemary.
Yeah. And this is different because this is more of a traditional. It's more of a traditional face paint style. That's more of kind of a gothic character-based deal.
Yeah.
This seems to be unique and kind of one of kind as to what we
war paint.
Exactly. So I think that as hard of a time they've had getting that women's division going, I think she's somebody you can really build that around.
I think so. Let's talk main event. Falls Count Anywhere, no DQ, world champion Kenny Omega and Kenta versus the IWGP U.S. champion Jon Moxley and the Murderhawk Monster Lance Archer with Jake the Snake Roberts. This match went everywhere. You've worked in a kitchen before at some point, right, Matthew?
I mean, I have one in my home.
Have you ever worked in a kitchen? Any job that you've had? Restaurant, anything?
No.
Okay. What caught my attention right away when they went to the kitchen
Most of my jobs have had microwaves, though.
What caught my attention right away when they went into the kitchen area is that if it's a real kitchen area where you've got one of those, and again, Jim Ross was mocking Excalibur about the metal table. It's a prep table, but a good proper prep table has a little attachment hanging off the side of it. That's for you to open up cans with. You just slide in the can opener in there and just boom, 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 boom. So that could be very dangerous to work on. They didn't work on that table. They worked on the other one. But
I will throw this in there. It wasn't a proper kitchen, but I did once work at a garden center that had a machine that sliced hams.
Okay. Alrighty then.
And I did not slice the hams per se, but I was responsible for cleaning the ham. And, after a day of cutting ham on a ham cutting machine, and you take it apart and everything, you actually, when you're cleaning it out, you have this product of, I guess, all the little ham particles that actually makes a nice little ham spread. So I did help clean a ham cutting machine by removing the ham spread.
Hey, on that machine, did you ever balance off anybody's high heels?
I can't say that I did.
Do you know what I'm getting at?
Not
Seinfeld.
a clue.
Kramer had one.
Oh, interesting.
And Elaine had a busted a heel, so he goes, "What do you got there?" And he just cleaned it right off. And then what he was using to clean the ham cutting machine was also what Jerry was using to wash his face. So
fantastic.
Yeah. This finish to the match was insane. It was out of control, but it was still, I could still follow it. I thought it was hot. I really liked the way the show ended.
And what I liked with this too was the believability of the psychology in a falls count anywhere match with no rules, no disqualifications. 9 times out of 10, it's tidy. They're going places here and there, but in a real shoot fight, pretending that this is real, you're going to have everybody and their brother getting involved, doing whatever they can to get the win. And so you had bodies thrown all over the place. You had all these people in the ring. It made sense in the context of the match. And this match, to me, made a star in Lance Archer. This is really the most prominent that he has been featured. And he's in there, with Moxley. He's in there with Kenta. He's in there with Omega. And that's the guy they're having trouble handling. That's the guy they're having trouble putting away.
It took 4 guys at the end.
Yep. So they did some business tonight in making another star. And that's the concern with all this interpromotional stuff is, it's cool and it's novel. But at the end of the day, you have got to have somewhat of a self-contained product, and you've got to build your own stars. And there's been some concern on my part that business is not getting done. It got done last night.
Yeah, I think so too. So that was AEW. We're going to move right away over to NXT. 3 tag team matches to get to the finals for this Sunday's NXT Vengeance Day pay-per-view. I almost said Revolution. Sorry, Vengeance Day instead of Valentine's Day. MSK defeats Legado del Fantasma in the semifinals to move on to the finals against the winner of the main event. Did you see MSK winning this, the Rascals from Impact Wrestling, or did you see Legado del Fantasma moving on?
No, MSK seemed like a fairly good bet on this. I mean, they were brought in with the fanfare. They were brought in with the surprise. And it's somebody that NXT seems to be trying to, have in your main event tag picture. And that's what we ultimately got last night.
I was entertained by this. I don't know why. It just struck me as pretty funny. When Johnny Gargano went out to the ring in the wheelchair and he he looked at the x-ray and he's like, "I got a broken arm. Look at that." And William Regal comes out and goes, "Damn well the medical doctors cleared you yesterday. Look at right there. It says R. You see that R up there, Sunshine? You got a cast on your left arm. The R stands for right. No, it stands for real. That's really happening right now." That was entertaining to me. I don't know why, but it was entertaining to me.
Since Gargano has gotten his stable, he's showing a little bit of a different side as far as the character goes.
Yeah, I thought it was absolutely entertaining. We got the match with Shotzi Blackheart and Ember Moon defeating Candice LeRae and Nindy Hartwell, and they will go on to the finals at Vengeance Day on this Sunday. Your thoughts on the team of Shotzi Blackheart and Ember Moon?
I like it. It gives them something to do and win. We've seen them kind of up and down a little bit as far as wins and losses, but it's giving them a high profile spot, and I think that I think that was a right call. He
returned, Cameron Grimes, that is. We see this during commentary we hear it was a Lamborghini, and it was Cameron Grimes, baby, showing up to NXT. Long story short, Cameron Grimes, when he was hurt, was at home playing video games invested his money in GameStop, made a fortune, invested his money in Dogcoin, made a fortune, and he's back, baby, to the moon. Matthew, I always appreciated Cameron Grimes. It was never my go-to, excited to see, but that stuff last night was fantastic.
Oh, it was great. And, to see Cameron Grimes back, not in his feud with Dexter Lumis, that story was told. Just to see him kind of, to his own, left to his own being and in there with the promo to further establish that character and, who Cameron Grimes is, really, really entertaining. And, it reminded me a little bit. You remember when Jamie Noble and Joey Mercury, when Seth Rollins gave them all gifts?
Yeah.
And that was about the same time that Corporate Kane went on his Hawaiian vacation. But I forgot what car it was, man. But he gave him some type of car. And whoever he was feuding with messed up the car. But, it kind of harkened back to that a little bit, man.
Sorry, you know what I was doing? When you said Jamie Noble and we were coming off and talking about Cameron Grimes, I went towards Jamie Noble and Nydia. That's where I went. I miss Nydia.
Yeah, no, but yeah, I thought it was a heck of a promo, and I look forward to seeing Cameron Grimes on TV each week.
To the moon! Main event: Grizzled Young Veterans taking on Tommaso Ciampa and Timothy Thatcher. If you would ask me last night or the night before or whatever, before the match happened, I would have told you it's Thatcher and Ciampa. Nope. Grizzled Young Veterans for the second year in a row will be in the finals of the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classics, match coming up this Sunday. Your thoughts on the Grizzled Young Veterans winning again?
Out of all the different shows that we talk about, I don't think anybody does a sports simulation better than NXT. And a lot of times the easy bet on who you think from a wrestling storyline perspective is going over, a lot of times that doesn't happen in NXT. This was a surprise to me. I thought for sure this was, a tournament made for Ciampa and Thatcher, but apparently that was not to be. So really looking forward to the finals match this Sunday. I think it's going to be, an interesting matchup of two kind of stylistically different tag teams.
Oh, way different.
Yeah. And
MSK will fly around them, and Grizzled Young Veterans will try to ground and pound.
And that's the thing. And I think that Ciampa and Thatcher, I think what they needed out of this has been accomplished. I don't think they necessarily need to win a tournament at this point. I mean, Ciampa has had all the accolades that you could have in NXT. Thatcher beat Ciampa, and so he got a lot of that momentum. So I think these guys are set. And if you look for who is going to walk away with more from being in that finals, having the Grizzled Young Veterans go over, I think makes sense.
Okay. What really made sense was we have not had a proper go home to a pay-per-view type show in a long time. I'm talking Raw, SmackDown, NXT, whatever. This NXT from last night was a proper go home to a pay-per-view. They set up the card. It showed everybody, all those stare downs that they had, up at the trophy with William Regal in the middle up at the stage. They were all replayed. And then finally, the final one, Balor, done, face-to-face, one-on-one, staring each other down, and that's the main event for this Sunday. I applaud them. This stylistically looked amazing.
NXT has been really, really consistent the past 3 or 4 weeks, and last night was no exception. And guess what? You have consistent, well-written, well-planned shows in the weeks up to a pay-per-view. You're going to get people excited about the event, and that event should deliver. I mean, you look at the matches on paper, there's going to be some excellent wrestling, and we've seen what, Finn Balor has done during this NXT reign in those main events. I mean, each NXT event, you're walking away with a match that you're talking about, and I think him and Dunn's going to be no exception. Really excited for the NXT event on Sunday.
10-4. All right. And speaking of excited, we're going to have Linda Kay in tomorrow morning to talk about the NXT event for this Sunday. Plus, we'll talk about SmackDown coming up as well. So,
Matthew, I do have a request. I have heard through the grapevine that Linda Kay had her very first Waffle House experience this week. I want a full detail. I want a full rundown. I want to know details of what every person sitting at that table got to eat at the Waffle House. I want a full-fledged review about the food, about the atmosphere, about potential options on the menu that she wants to try next time.
Jukebox options too.
Jukebox options, exactly. If there was, what time of day it was, if the jukebox was going, if there were any requests. I actually had an instance probably about 6 or 7 months ago where apparently a patron of the Waffle House that I was at did not like my choice of meatloafs. I'll do anything for love. This dude breaks out his phone and starts playing his own music, trying to overpower the jukebox while my song is playing.
Yeah. Well, I would hope that Tony Khan might sing that song, but I won't do that. No, he went to Forbidden Door as well. So
fantastic. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I think my requests are pretty reasonable. I want that, and then I want Al to introduce the Forbidden Door with the Doors logo for the next collar and elbow shirt. And I mean, I think I'm a pretty reasonable guy in that.
You want people to break on through to the other side, huh?
Exactly.
Yeah. All right, Uncle Al, I hope you heard that. And Linda, I hope you're listening. We need that Waffle House report tomorrow morning with Linda Kay. So for Matthew Thomas, I'm the man they call Meathead. Hey, thanks for stopping by. So long, everyone.